I'll just like be outside until the outside. Oh.
Want to do the walkthrough first?
Maybe we'll do the
Wait,
walkthrough.
what's the dictionary?
Oh, all right.
Does my hair look okay?
This is live.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
We've been live for 24 seconds.
Yes.
It's exciting.
So welcome. Is anyone out there?
We're just gonna, for those of you that are watching the replay of this, we're just gonna wait for a few minutes to see if anybody joins that might have questions or that want to talk to us.
You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. And let's start with some introductions. So my name is Sean Van Every. I'm faculty here at NYU in a program called ITP. ITP is launching a new undergraduate program called IMA, which stands for Interactive Media Arts, and that's what we're here to talk about and introduce to you. To my left is a fellow named...
I'm Dan O'Sullivan, so I teach here at ITP and will teach at IMA next year.
And I'm Midori Yasuda. I do admissions and special events for ITP and for IMA. So we're here to answer your questions. And we can give a tour of the space.
Yeah.
And secretly, there's one more person here.
Hi, I'm an ITP resident, and I will be the video holder.
Oh, great.
Thanks, Jim.
How do we see?
Right there.
Oh, hi, people.
We have some people watching.
Right. So, so I had mentioned that IMA is growing out of a program here at NYU called ITP. ITP's been around for the last almost 40 years, 38 years. And it started with a woman named Red Burns, who also had a related organization called the Alternate Media Center. And both the foundations and the beginnings of ITP and the Alternate Media Center were harnessing new technology and new media to, I guess, affect social change and make the world a better place. And through those 38 years, the mission has really stayed the same. It's really about emerging technology and harnessing emerging technology and emerging media for expression, for making the world a better place, for helping people, for artistic reasons.
Yeah, and the technology across those 38 years has really changed. The thing that Red got excited about was she saw a Portapack, a portable videotape camera. And so videotape was the revolutionary technology that started this this program. And she said, this is going to change who can tell their stories. And so obviously the technology has changed a lot. Things like the internet came along halfway through there. And ITP is good at rolling with the punches and finding out what is emerging, what's next.
And embracing the new. So one thing is we'd love this to be really participatory and for you all to engage. So if you have any questions at any time, write a comment and we'll see it and we'll be happy to answer it. So this program is starting in next fall of 2018. We're accepting applications now. If you go to our website, there's some instructions on how to apply. Midori will you want to type in the URL to the website, just so you have it in front of you. It does do a good job of describing our curriculum, and we'd be happy to go through any of that as well. We're also going to be accepting transfers. We encourage double majoring within NYU. We'll have minors the year following that. There's also one thing that we should mention right off the bat is that we have a partner program or sister or brother program in the Tisch School of Engineering called IDM. And we're very, very close with that program. We even share some faculty. So if there's any questions about, should I go to IMA or should I go to Tandon's IDM program, we'd be happy to answer those. The long and the short of it is that IDM is in the engineering school and would have all the engineering prerequisite courses, whereas we're in the art school offering a BFA, and our courses are going to have a heavier component of liberal arts. And that's actually half of our curriculum is liberal arts related. So courses within NYU as a whole.
Yeah, and we're connected with them now. Just, we do a lot of things in common. For instance, we have an assistive technology program that we do collaboratively with them. But by the time you all arrive, there's going to be a shared facility, this amazing new building we're checking out in Brooklyn. And so we'll be on adjacent floors, and there'll be all sorts of synergies of curriculum and people and facilities. It's going to be great.
And this new building, I think, is really worth talking about some more. It's going to be called the MTA building. It's actually called the MTA building now, as in the subway authority here in New York, the Metropolitan Transit Authority. But we're rebranding it again as MTA, standing for Media, Technology, and Arts.
So we're taking over the building. It's in Brooklyn. It's across from our engineering campus, but Tisch School of the Arts is putting a bunch of departments in there, in particular game design and recorded music, and we're kind of taking over the culture of the building and can make it great.
Great. So we have one question already from Vivian Young. Hi, Vivian. I think you've emailed all of us.
Yes.
Hey, Vivian.
So she says,
your website's great.
My question is, what type of applicants are you looking for in terms of academic and artistic abilities? And if I were to submit a portfolio, what are some things I should include?
Right. So one thing is portfolios aren't required, but and we actually have to be careful not to call it a portfolio submission. Although you can submit a portfolio, but what we're asking for is optional, and it's supplemental sort of artistic or creative materials. So anything that sort of shows the breadth and variety of your interests, especially as it relates to digital media or any creativity that you're interested in, would be fantastic. Your website, which I think all of us have looked at, is actually perfect. And if you were just to put the URL for that into our form for our supplemental materials, that would be all that's required.
But the thing that's great about this place is it connects lots of different disciplines. So it's not just about art and technology. It's about psychology and technology. It's about activism and technology. It's about nursing and psychology. It's about anything. So the portfolios don't necessarily have to look like portfolio is a word that kind of sounds like art school. And your portfolio might be that you put a site together that organized a group of people to go march somewhere, or that you did a physics experiment using a computer. So this place connects lots of different disciplines. So any kind of creative, but just any kind of way that you've shown that you have a track record of following your passions, basically.
And as for what we're looking for people with passion. We're looking for people that have sort of well-rounded individuals. We're not it's not a computer science department, and it's not a pure art department, right? So it's really about using the power of computers and networking and new technology for self-expression and for connecting individuals and all of that entails.
So I'm just going to throw out some other questions for folks who may be listening. Will I study media theory, or will I get hands-on production time actually making things?
Both, right? So all of our courses will have some component of theory, even if they're production courses, right? So we think that it's important to get hands-on and understand the technology and learn how to harness it, but also to think about it critically and to engage with other thinkers and to express yourself in writing and do some reading as well. That said, we're not, another program here at NYU is called Media, Culture, and Communication. And that's really more of a media studies program. So if you're interested in a theory-heavy program, less production, I would encourage you to check out MCC here at NYU.
But I don't even think they're that cleanly separable. The production of theory now can be done through computational media. In other words, the way you would express your theoretical ideas might be in computation. It's a tool at this point, to the level of pen and paper, where it's going to help you think abstract thoughts. But if you're mainly interested in writing about technology, I would recommend, that's a great program, Media, Communication, and Culture.
And to Dan's point, one thing that he's coined, a term that he likes to use is, as opposed to media literacy, we teach digital penmanship, right? So it's not just how do you read and understand media, but it's how do you make it, how do you write it? And an analogous thing to that is learning how to write well with a pen. So digital penmanship is about making media and about using new technology.
And the word penmanship sounds a little remedial, and in a way it should, because learning to use, like for instance, program the computer is just the beginning. It's what you do through the computer. It's what you say with the computer. The computer isn't the end. It's the medium.
So, Jen, do you have another question for us?
Yeah. So, will I learn sort of technical skills, and how do I convince my parents that I will learn real things here?
Yeah. So, you'll definitely learn technical skills. You'll learn how to program. You'll learn how to create a whole wide variety of interactive media. You'll learn how to design new products. You'll learn about, perhaps making applications for mobile devices, making websites, building new interfaces for computers. Think about things like the Wii or other types of video game controllers. You'll be able to make those yourself. Physicality is a big part of what ITP has always been, and bringing the human and the computer relationship into the physical realm, away from the keyboard and mouse. We'll have courses in 5 different areas. Let me tell you what they are. Anybody know them off the top of their head? Art and design, which is pretty self-explanatory. Computation and data, which is about learning how to program and utilizing data. We see that a lot out in the world these days. Media and entertainment, which is pretty self-explanatory. And then what I was just describing, experimental interfaces and physical computing. So you'll take courses in each of those 5, and seminars, right, which are more theory-based courses. So you'll be taking courses in those 5 areas throughout your time at IMA.
But the truth is, we can't honestly tell you what you'll be doing here, because hopefully, the stuff you'll be studying is whatever is about to be invented, and hopefully by you. Yeah,
and that's a really big point. Is being the inaugural class of IMA gives you the ability to come in and help us make this place be what it's going to be. Right? ITP is really the students sort of drive it. And whatever the students are working on this year becomes the material that's taught the next year. And I expect that'll be the same thing with IMA.
In answering, I've been answering a lot of emails from prospective candidates, and one of the questions is, well, I don't already have a background in technology or design, which they don't need. But also on the flip side, there's people that have been doing this since middle school. They've been taking a lot of technology classes. They're making websites already. So what can we offer somebody who is on that side of the spectrum, and then also students that really are coming at this new? So I guess speaking to both sides.
Yes.
Well, the classes here are really project-based. So, we only introduce enough skills to get you to have an idea of what's possible. and then for you to charge ahead and make the project. So as soon as you have an idea to do it, you go ahead and do it. So even our skill-based classes, you only get about halfway into the semester before we turn it around and say, okay, what do you want to do with this? So some of you coming in with more skills, that question will be more of a day one question, like what are you going to do with it?
And then as far as those of you that come in without skills, what we have excelled at is really teaching people very quickly how to, enough programming to do some damage, to make a difference, to start developing a project. And then, that's the same in all of our disciplines. So learning how to use a camera, learning how to record and edit audio, learning how to work with web technologies, learning how to program, learning how to get started with a microcontroller. You're sort of immersed in it all right from the beginning. And there's no better way than to have a project to build with that, but also to be immersed in it. There's a few questions that have come in.
Yeah. So I'll read. After my studio-based summer architecture program, I realized how much I enjoy the collaborative environment and the importance and infinite possibilities of incorporating technology and design, arts, engineering. I'm looking into programming language like processing. So I'm thinking about transferring from a liberal arts college. I'd love to know what would be the specific criteria for a transfer applicant. Do I need to take some courses ahead?
So you definitely don't need to take any courses.
You should take some liberal arts courses before you come.
When you're already in a liberal arts school.
You're perfect.
So there's nothing in particular that you need as a transfer student. You will have to apply via the normal channels, and that would be through NYU admissions. But actually, that sounds great. And one joke that I have is ITP attracts a lot of former architects, right? People are attracted to architecture because they're interested in art and design and technology, and they have sort of, maybe an affinity for, the physical world. so that's actually perfect for ITP. And architects often find they get out in the world and the work isn't as great as maybe school is. Whereas I think what we offer is much of the same, but the work afterwards is often just as fulfilling as school is coming out of here.
Yeah, and I think the type of thinking is similar to architecture in that, we're located in the Tisch School of the Arts here, which is very famous for drama and film and television. It's all about telling stories. And in architecture, you build a space through which many stories can transpire, like a million different stories. The space kind of suggests what might happen in that space, but it doesn't dictate what happens in that space, unlike a script. So in a way, we might be more at home in an architecture school. Well, we love our fellow departments here at Tisch also, but there's some slight, misfit with it being purely story-driven. Story is definitely the most important and powerful technology that comes out of this program, but it's more like stories, or a space of stories. And in that way, it resembles architectural training, where you create a space that stories can happen in.
And then another question is, do you get to choose whether you want to focus more on programming or artistic pursuits? And you do get to choose, although you're required to take courses in it all, right? So once you get beyond the requirements, you can, through your electives, you can choose the specific courses that you want. We don't see much of a separation between art and, so having said that, right, we don't really see a separation between art and programming, right? So creative coding is something that, a term that has come about more recently, and it's about how do you program as an artist, and how do you make art as a programmer? And it's crossing those boundaries that we like.
I guess one remaining question would be, you talked about the different skill sets that people can come in with, and people will learn a bunch of stuff. But is there a way to take courses in other departments at NYU, and how much time will I be spending at IMA versus in other departments?
Right. So you will have to take courses in other departments. The program is set up so that it's 50% within IMA and then 50% outside of IMA. So you'll be taking courses throughout the university, hopefully getting a wide breadth of experience in sort of the liberal arts tradition. So.
Yeah, and that, the degree is a BFA, which, quite often is kind of it's about training in a certain craft, but we're taking a much more liberal arts approach to it. We really value you connecting this to other disciplines. So when in doubt, we would love you to be taking classes all over the place.
And a lot of courses, so we have a list of other departments and classes in other departments that will actually fulfill some of our requirements. So even when you're taking a course for IMA credit, it could be in another department.
Yeah, so we'll be very generous about that. The other thing is other campuses. So this program actually, we act like this is the inaugural year, but it's actually been going already in Shanghai for several years, and it's hugely successful. So you could study abroad, certainly in Shanghai and Abu Dhabi, where there's robust programs already started called IMA, but also in any of the study abroad sites. I think there's about 15 of them.
Yeah, really all over the world, in some amazing places.
Yeah.
So, and we highly encourage people to take at least a semester abroad.
Should we walk around and
do
a quick?
Yeah, how many of you want to? We can do a quick tour of ITP. So we'll see how this works.
Yeah.
All right, Jen, you're gonna grab that.
I'm gonna try to keep everyone in the frame here.
So, and without inducing too much vertigo.
Actually, the mirror might show off well if I. Here, you stay there.
Okay.
So what Dan is showing is a wooden mirror, which is made by one of our faculty members, Danny Rosen. He has a whole series of these. Some of them are made of wood, some of them metal silver balls, some of them made from found objects on the street. So it's one of the first things you see when coming to ITP, and it's one of the best things too. So as you know, we're going to be moving from this space, but I think seeing it as it is now will give you a good idea of what the new space will be like as well.
Where should we go first?
Well, let's see here and give an overview. So one thing that you'll notice is that it's open, right? So you
won't notice yet. Come.
Should we go back there?
So you can see it's a pretty wide open space with a lot of collaboration happening, students working together on a whole wide variety of projects. So one of the best things we do and that we can do is provide space for people to get together and exchange ideas and to work together. You have anything to add?
No.
We'll go back down this way towards our shop and our physical computing area. And on the way, you'll see over here we have 3D printers, and then behind the 3D printers we have a great area which is called the Soft Lab, which is where people are working with sewing machines and soft materials often in the role of making a wearable. So embedding electronics into fabrics in order to create a whole different type of interactive media.
Should we go behind that curtain?
Sure. All right, we're going to go behind a curtain. So this area is in a little bit of disarray at the moment, but it's what we call our micro studio. And I don't know if you can see this specific area that's taped off here, but it's it's sort of a VR space, right? So we have, what's it, a Vive? A Vive, where you put on your headset, you pick up these ones, and then within this space, you're trapped in the environment, and you can create interactive media or applications or games that actually exist within a space.
Yeah, so this is a kind of a prototype of what we think is happening now in the future. It's new ways of making films out of parts, using interesting new, the virtual reality technology, but they're all about capturing in more advanced ways than cameras do. The other thing that's interesting about this space is if you look around, it's very improvised. There's just, there's Jen, there's curtains and just a grid. So the walls go up as needed here. And this is this kind of basically future-oriented soundstage for filming is the prototype for what we're building out in Brooklyn. So there'll be like a whole floor of this kind of thing.
Some with walls and some with curtains. But the idea is flexibility. And being in New York, you'll hear sirens, which is always good. Yeah, so this is an area that people are working on, sort of physical interfaces to computers, right? Working with microcontrollers and Arduinos, doing soldering and piecing things together and hacking existing things. This is where there's a lot of magic that happens. People have learned how to program. They've learned how to work with the physical world, and here they bring it together. This, when I was talking about sort of new interfaces and the physical world and bridging the virtual and the physical, this is where that kind of thing happens. In the back, there's a shop for wood and metalwork, as well as computer-controlled milling. You might have heard of maker spaces in the past, or been to maker spaces. This was one of the first, right? This is where people were really, coming together to work with new technology, to make things in the physical world. So,
you want to look at the stuff?
Sure, like.
And I'm shop staff right now.
oh, right.
Laser cutter. Should we go in the back? Yeah.
Drill press.
Safety goggles.
So we're going to go back to the room that we were sitting in, and
Well,
then
let's go to the other side and show some classes. Real quick. Let's go to the other side for the class.
他这么写的12点5，我觉得是不是太大了？
Let's show off the classes.
Okay.
So this is a typical class. That's a class where they're staring at each other.
Looks like they're doing something related to meditation.
Jen, do you want to show your office?
Sure. Yeah. The live tour thing. So this is the residence office. Hardworking ITP residents.
So what are residents? Residents are actually sort of recent graduates of ITP who have stayed on an extra year to be the culture in the yogurt that gets passed from generation to generation. Actually, no, they're here to help the new first-year students coming in, and also IMA students, and they are also working on their own projects and and pushing things forward. Right. So now we'll go back to the room we were in, and if there's any last questions, we'll take them in there. Weird things like that. Who knows what it is?
Alright. If there are any additional questions.
Yeah.
We covered everything.
Yeah. So, is there anything anybody wanted to ask?
What's the difference between IMA and ITP in terms of courses and content?
I think one thing that's interesting is people are learning new technology, and and the pace of technological change is happening so fast that people are working with it at younger and younger ages. One of the reasons that we're doing an undergrad program is that it just makes sense, right? People are ready for it coming out of high school, and even in high school. So it doesn't make sense to only keep it as a graduate program. So I would say the big differences are that maybe the grad program is a little more sort of all-encompassing, immersive in new technology, whereas in undergrad, we still believe it's really important to have a breadth of knowledge about the world, and that's why we have the liberal arts component. Whereas ITP, you can pretty much just focus on this stuff, but you need to have some life experience before immersing yourself in that.
Yeah, and we teach a lot of undergrad classes here, and truthfully, we rearrange a bit, but they're very similar.
Yeah, the material is very similar.
So one more question. Looks like the undergrad and grad programs are located in the same building on the same floor. Do I get to know the people in the grad program?
If you're outgoing and you make it a point to, yes. And the grad students will also be, and so and because you're on the same floor and sharing some facilities, you'll definitely get to know them.
Yeah, but hopefully by the time you come, as we mentioned before, it'll be a much bigger facility, so you'll have the best of both worlds. You'll be able to be separate, have your own culture, but you'll be able to mix as well.
Great. I think we're out of time and
Great.
out of questions.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. We'll be archiving this online too for those of you who joined a little bit late. And if you have any questions, email us at ima.info@nyu.edu or check us out on the web. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Jen.